gamers all around the world. Today I wanted to discuss the very important, the burning topic of Jeanne d'Arc. And I want to cover a couple of different things. I want to cover JD at the top level, JD in Conquer, JD in 1 month, JD in lower leagues. And is she overpowered or is she not? And if she is, how do we fix it? So I searched JD on AoE4 subreddit, and if you search for Jeanne d'Arc, and if you search for different variations of misspelling of Jeanne d'Arc, you're going to get equal amount of posts. As you can see, this is all about JD, and about 90-95% of them are just complaining, right? Like, I swear there's probably like 5 threads every day at this point. And I feel like devs have to do something, not because of imbalance, but because people are so upset about the state of the hero, right? Because I feel like this will not go away anytime soon. So I do feel like the devs will probably do something. What they're going to do, I have no clue. But let's talk about it. So number one thing I wanted to discuss is, let's start with the easiest one. And if you watch my stream or my YouTube video, you know my stance on whether she is overpowered or not. I think there's a difference between something being overpowered and something being hard to deal with / hard to play. So for example, I think that civs like in the previous patch, Rus was overpowered, but it was also good at low levels because it wasn't that hard to play. But at the top level, it was OP. Or you have Jushi's Legacy right now that's overpowered, in my opinion, and needs nerfs. But no one's really complaining about it because in the grand scale of AoE4, people are not playing Jushi's Legacy to an extent that people do at the top level, so it's not a problem, right? And then people also love to look at the AoE4 world win rates and then say, aha, there it is. My opinion is now justified. So, at the top level, JD, I would probably not put it in top 6, maybe even 7 civs. I don't think it's that great of a civ. I think it's pretty, medium level. Not mediocre, but it's medium level. Rank 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe. I don't know. The reason for that is the pro players obviously play a lot. We understand the game a lot, and people have figured out how to counter her quite a bit. One of the basic ways to counter her is, just don't fight forehead. Try to get to castle or get enough units to just one-shot her. And that is kind of how you play against her. Again, at the top level, this is not really complicated. Players can execute against her, and oftentimes you see, and more so recently, you see JD actually just not getting level 3 in Feudal. It rarely happens in pro games. And if you look at the win rate from the last EGC tournament, the last 2, I think it's 2 weekends or 1 weekend, I'm not sure. And obviously, by the way, the number of games is very small. But Jeanne d'Arc is 5 and 6 in win rate, and it received 1 ban in the tournament. And this is the tournament for the top 12 players in the world. You have civs like Mongol getting 15 bans, Jushi's Legacy getting 9, Ottomans getting 9 bans, Rus getting 7, Japanese getting 8 bans, Malians getting 5, Delhi getting a ban, and then Ayubids getting 9 bans. So why is JD not banned? Well, because like I said, people know how to deal with her, people know what to do against her, and she's not playable on every map. She's not very good on hybrid maps and water maps, so she kind of has to be played on open maps. And if you actually look a bit more into this is not me flexing, this is just, facts to further point out some things. 5 wins that JD has in the tournament, 3 of them are mine. So if you exclude me, the win rate of the civ would be 2-6, which would probably put it at the lowest win rate other than OOTD and French that wasn't even played, together with Abbasid and Byzantines at the bottom. So it would be like a bottom 4 or 5 civ regarding win rates if you exclude one player. But beside that, in general, I think the general consensus amongst the pro players is that she is not OP. Now, if she gets level 3 in Feudal Age, she becomes extremely strong and extremely hard to deal with for anyone. But the process of the hero getting there has been the top players have been better and better at dealing with her, so that does not happen. So that you enter castle and Jeanne d'Arc enters castle and then she hits level 3 and then the Civ is fine. So the major problem of the Civ currently is that when she reaches level 3 in Feudal Age and the opponent is nowhere close to castling, then she starts taking 50% reduced range damage and she's basically like, you can't kill her. It's at that point. Now, how does this translate to lower leagues? And I'll go to say, when I say lower leagues, I'll separate, like, let's say Conquer 1, 2, and 3. I do see that people struggle there as well. So it's not just like Gold League, but people struggle there too. But I think players will improve over time against it. And then you have people that are in, Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond that struggle against JD quite a bit. Now, why is this? In my opinion, the reason why this is happening is because she is a very unique Civ, right? Jeanne d'Arc is a very unique Civ. It's the first Civ with a hero, and people don't know how to play against her. And it's one of those things where playing Jeanne d'Arc is easier than playing against Jeanne d'Arc. And we've had this happen in the past with French Knights. We've had this happen in the past with Longbows from English, where a French player charging in 3 Knights and killing 3 of your villagers is a lot easier thing to do than defending against those 3 Knights, because if you don't have spears in position or if you don't move away immediately, you lose 3 villagers. So at the start of AA4, French and English were considered OP because, in my opinion, of the same problem. Not because of balance, but because of the same reason. The execution of those strategies were a lot easier than defending against those things. Like if you overextend against longbows, you just lose your whole army pretty much, and because they have so much range. Now, something interesting happened. French Knights did receive a nerf, so on the healing, so I will acknowledge that, obviously. But we've had multiple instances of things that people were complaining a lot about, such as Burgrave, Rush from HRE, French Knights and Knights in general in Feudal being unkillable, unstoppable. We've had a lot of posts in the past, I'm talking first year of A4, about longbows being broken and longbows need a nerf, and feudal men-at-arms. There was, again, if you're on forums or in general, I had those questions asked to me many times. How do you counter feudal men-at-arms? If they just mass it, there's no counter. Now, if you noticed, the only thing that was nerfed there, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the only thing that was nerfed there is the French Knight healing. Longbows never got nerfed, men-at-arms in feudal never got nerfed, and now people are not complaining about it anymore, right? I'm sure there's some guy that's like, yo, longbows are OP. But in general, you don't see the community up in arms against those units or against those strategies. And why is that? Did they get nerfed? Did something change? Did the civs become better against those things? No, nothing's really changed. What did change is people learned how to play against it. And I do believe that in time, the same thing will happen with Jeanne d'Arc. So if you gave it another 6 months, you will see a lot less of these complaints because people would learn how to play against her. And I think the main issue is that she is not only a new civ, but she has a hero aspect, which we don't have in the game. Now we do. And people still want to, I often see like, she goes Knights and I make Spearman Archer and she comes in and kills everything. It's like, yeah, Spearman Archer is not what you want to be making against Jeanne d'Arc. You're just feeding her XP. The hero gets leveled up and then level 3 in Feudal, and then kind of the game is over if you fed her a lot of XP. So will this problem be better in time? Yeah, because people will learn how to play more and more. I'm going to be making guides how to play against Jeanne d'Arc soon, because I don't know if she's going to get nerfed or if there's any plans to get her nerfed or changed. So I figured I might as well try to help people, because I do believe that if more people knew how to deal with her, not necessarily they would win all the games, but they would have a lot better time against her. What does this mean for the balance? Balance-wise, she is fine as a civilization. Now, we go back to the problem of she is a lot harder to deal with than she is to play. And this is a problem that I don't know how you fix with Jeanne d'Arc. When I saw Jeanne d'Arc about 2.5-3 months ago, when nothing was announced yet, I said, I like it. It's cool, but this civ is going to be a problem one way or another. Because the civ is so focused onto the hero, it will either be broken or it will be shit. Or people will just not know how to deal with it. Obviously now, that's kind of what's happening. You have a moment where if she reaches level 3 in Feudal, she is OP. If you don't level her up, the Civ feels pretty mediocre. Like if she dies a couple of times in Feudal, you don't get Consecration, which is a thing you put on your buildings for them to be cheaper, or unit production to be cheaper. And then if you reach Castle, she's still level 2. It just feels very underwhelming, right? I think the biggest problem is her power spike. What that means is she goes from Feudal Jeanne d'Arc, which is pretty meh, actually. It's nothing special. It's like trying to just keep it alive. You know, you're not really like going in there and fighting. You're just trying to keep her alive so she gets XP. I would personally love to see her hero levels get increased to 6. So I think level 1 should be the way it is. Level 2 should be the way it is. But instead of needing 500 XP to get level 3, that should be extended so that there's level 3, 4 before level 5 where she turns it when she gets a horse and she does more damage, she can summon units. If there was a more natural progression of her power where it's like from level 2 to level 3, let's say instead of her going from, you know, walking around and being shit to the horse and killing everything, if she was getting like 20% more damage instead of getting like almost 100% more damage, it feels like, then the power spike would be slower, and even though she's leveling, you would have a bit more time and you would have time to respond to things and you would have time to still kill her. The problem is she just goes from like, I'm trying to keep her alive to now she's just killing everything. I feel like that's kind of the main issue in my eyes. Not necessarily the gameplay around it, but the fact that, oh, I lost the fight, she's level 3, I'm dead, kind of thing. But if she needed a bit more time to level up, if she, wasn't as strong once she levels up, and there's a more, like, right now it feels like it goes a villager, then it goes level 2, and then it's like, it's level 3. There's nothing in between there, right? She's either soloing your army, or you're trying to save her from a horseman. You know what I mean? So my personal favorite idea is for her to get 2 more levels, or at least 1 more level in between level 2 and level 3, so that the power spike is not as high. Because I do think that players will learn how to play with her, against her, over time a bit better, but the problem still persists of, if she gets level 3 in Feudal, the game feels kinda over. So, and while I do think that, at the top level and as the players play more and more, they will learn how to not feed her XP, but the game should not also be where it's like, oh, I lost a battle accidentally, or I fucked up something and now she's level 3 and I lose. I think that's a bit too extreme, so I would like that to be a little more spread out. Now, if something like that were to happen, I think she should get buffed somewhere else, and that somewhere else should be away from the hero. Right now, the Civ is extremely hero-focused. Her economy relies on a Consecration ability, which is her hero. Her healing on units is very nice, although you don't rely on that as a Civ. A lot of damage-based stuff, you rely on the hero. Tanking is relied on the hero. Even summoning units is relied on the hero. And that's a bit of a problem, because while the idea is cool, the difference between hero being dead and hero being alive is night and day. So I do like the idea of a hero, but it's too focused on a hero, in my opinion. I would even like if they just nerfed the hero, but gave it buffs somewhere else, so that hero is still strong, and if it levels up, oh shit. But, hero going from level 2 to 3 and then taking 50% reduced range damage is wild. Like, you cannot kill her with archers. It's like, he just doesn't take damage, right? So I would like for something like, either increasing the hero levels or reducing her power while buffing the Civ somewhere else. I think it would be also good, because it would keep that civilization very unique, but not as focused to the hero. It's the same on the other side. If you lose the hero very early, I don't know if you guys know, but your Consecration ability resets from the start. It has to charge up from the start, and you lose a lot of resources when that happens. Not only the resources you have to spend to buy her back, but also you lose value in other ways. That's personally my suggestions. Now there's another thing. So recently they nerfed the XP from the boar by, you get 25 XP less from a boar, and Jeanne's champions get -1/-1 armor now. And it is a nerf, but the thing is, I think that people dislike her specifically because it's a hero unit. And I think that even if they reduced, or let's say they nerfed by requiring 200 more XP to get level 3, I don't think that would fix the problem. It would be a nerf, but I think people would still be complaining about Jeanne d'Arc. And I think the devs have a pretty rough problem to solve, because you want to make the Civ viable at every level, including the top level, while also make it not frustrating to play against. If you nerf the hero, so there's two versions of the hero. There's the melee version and then there's the archer version of Jeanne d'Arc. If you nerf the melee version, the hero would suck. Like, the Q ability is really strong. But if you nerf that, then the hero is just really meh, you know? It would need some kind of compensation for any nerf on the hero. Otherwise, it will not be good at all at the top level, and it will probably not be played a lot. Another thing that would be viable and possible would be to actually buff the archer version of Jeanne d'Arc and nerf the melee version. Because melee version right now is the only thing that's picked, and if you play Jeanne d'Arc, that's the only thing you should be picking. Because the AoE ability, the whirlwind or cleave or whatever it's called, is really strong. And the archer one is pretty underwhelming, because what it does is it snipes one unit and it's not that much damage either. So it's just never picked almost. With that being said, if you look at the win rates, funnily enough, probably for every Ayubid post being OP, there's probably 15 posts about JD being OP. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. It might actually be even more posts than that. Because I'm on forums pretty often. I like to read, even though it's, you know, not always a good idea. And I almost never see Ayubid posts. I never see people saying Ayubid's broken, Ayubid needs a nerf, and Ayubid has a higher win rate. Even though Ayubid just got nerfed a few days ago, even before the nerf, we did not see any posts about Ayubids. People were very focused on Jeanne d'Arc. So I think it's part of it is frustration, the way that Jeanne d'Arc works. Part of it, it's people not knowing how to deal with it. And part of it is the fact that it's a hero and people really dislike the idea of hero in Age of Empires 4. If you look through the leagues, I mean, it's more or less the same everywhere. Like, you have Jushi Legacy, Ottoman, Ayubid, and Jeanne d'Arc being higher than other civs. Sometimes it changes. You can see in Platinum. It changed. Sometimes this one is higher, sometimes that one is higher, but in general you can kind of see the win rates. In Diamond it's 58%, Ayubid is at 56%, Ottoman has been at 54 to 56% for God knows how long now. And then you have stuff like at Conqueror, you have Malians that is 58% win rate. But another thing that I wanted to say that I found very funny is every time I see one of these posts about JD and you know, the post goes along the line of, I'm playing JD every game or every second game. Like, everyone's playing JD. I played 10 games and I'm at 7 JDs in a row. If you look at the stats, I think I actually did, I gathered all of these earlier today off of stream, and I think there's 630,000 Civ picks since the release of the Civs, and 56,000 are JD. So that is less than 10% pick rate. Let's say it's 10%, fuck it. Let's say it's 10% pick rate. Guys, if you're saying that every second game you're playing is JD, the math does not check out. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of Civs that are more played, or a lot. Jushi's Legacy is more played than JD. Japan is more than twice the amount of picks than Jeanne d'Arc. You have English that's more picked. That's kind of it. I wanted to give my thoughts on this because I see this post being made every day, and with the amount of posts that people have been making and stuff, I do feel like devs have to do something, and you know, I'm excited to see what that something is. Now, I am playing semi-finals against Lucifer on the weekend, which I'll cover when I win or lose. But next week, I plan to do one day where I'm going to play only Byzantines. I'm gonna take one day where I play only OOTD, because those two civs, people say a lot that they're not as good. So I wanna, you know, help people learn those civs a little bit more, because I don't think OOTD or Byzantines are necessarily terrible. I don't think they're as strong, but they're not terrible. They're definitely playable. And then one day I'm gonna take and play against Jeanne d'Arc all day in custom games and make some guides out of that for you guys to, you know, help you defeat Jeanne d'Arc. I guarantee your win rate will improve, because I think knowing how to deal with her is like 80% of the job. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I want to thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check me out on Twitch. I'm probably live right now. Twitch gamers, let's keep going.